Assalamu alaikum everyone. I know I have been inactive for quite some time, but I have been busy and I have been a lot of things. I have been lethargic, but here I am with a review of a wonderful book which I really, really, really loved. And believe me, it was one of those things that I was waiting for a book which I felt like reading. And the book which I'm going to be reviewed today is like it's going to be one of my favorite books from now on. And it is a kind of book which you want to read if you have a dream to pursue and you have a dream, but you're not really, thinking of doing something about it. And or maybe you're not motivated enough or something like that to pursue it. Believe me, it's a must read for you. And it's the kind of book which like really you know activates your soul uh, to play an active role as an external stimulus or a guidance for you to do something about it. Like, don't just sit there and wait for the universe to bring everything in your lap. You have to do something about it. And the book which I'm going to review today is, most probably you've heard about it. It's The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I have heard about it from many of my friends and colleagues and a lot of people. I have seen reviews of these books and I have read about it, and everybody was praising about this book. But until I've read this book, I really didn't know what they were talking about. And honestly, you need to read this book. Like, this is, oh my God, book. Like, where have I been all my life if I haven't read this book? So it's the kind of book which, tell its reader to like, you got it, man, you got it. You just gotta go for it. You just gotta go pursue your dream. Don't just sit there, okay? Life is so much more than you just think. It's not that simple. It's not really complicated. It's somewhere in between. It's just we don't know things. And we find life complicated sometimes because uh, we are unaware of certain things which are like right there in front of us. But with the passage of time, life teaches us so many things, like this destiny or this dream. It has always been by your side, just in front of you. You just didn't have the light to see it. So, without further ado, let's just start the review. And there are a lot of major and minor characters in this book, but the main character of this book is a boy whose name is Santiago. This whole book basically revolves around his dream. And there are so many other characters as well, but they play a role in just, helping him pursue his dream, helping him as a like in the form of guidance or in the form of like an angel or a motivation or maybe an omen, because in this book it tells us that the world has a soul, and that soul connects with your soul sometimes in the form of omens and signs, and you just need to have the eye. You just need to have that sight to, understand all these signs and omens which this universe is telling you. And honestly, reading this book is like it gave me goosebumps because some of the stuff happened to me as well, and I'm sure it happened to a lot of people, where sometimes your gut act as a intuition, or maybe this universe tries to tell you something about certain things or certain people, in your life, good or bad, in whatsoever manner. But believe me, it helps a lot. It's just you have to open your eyes. You need your eye to be open to the universe. And one very important thing I have read in this book is yes, there are omens, there are signs in this universe which, guide us, but you will only receive it if you have that, receiving soul, if you are opened, your mind is open about it to receive something, not if you are being ignorant about all these signs. So that awakening will come to you at certain point in your life. Not, it doesn't happen to everyone. Like if you tell this to someone else, they might think you're going crazy. But believe me, not everyone has that role to play in this universe. It mostly happened with the chosen people. So let's get back to the story. Santiago is a shepherd who has become shepherd basically to pursue his dream. His very first dream was to, travel the world and be adventurous and all. He belonged to a very poor family in which, becoming a priest is something which is like very to be feel proud of. So his parents were like, they were working, and they were working so that their children could, get food, and they can get good education, enough education to at least, um, be helpful for them. And they wanted Santiago to be a priest, which is considered very of highly ranked in the place where they lived. um, they lived in Spain, so a very like short village over there. uh, but he never wanted to be a priest. He wanted to be a traveler, to travel around the world. So the real destiny was actually which needed him to become a traveler. But that wasn't the real destiny. I mean, seriously, when you will read it, you will find it out that how different things connect us to our destinies. He wanted to be a traveler because to achieve his destiny, something like that, like traveler, would have been required to achieve that purpose. So he was a shepherd because shepherd is considered to be a person who will take his sheep to a lot of places and travel in that way. So he became very fond of his sheep, and he used to talk to them, and he was very fond of reading as well. He has a lot of books, and he would read one book and then exchange it with someone, and then, read another book. And he was so fond of reading and traveling, so he used to read his books to his sheep as well. And which he thought, like, if they really didn't care like what I'm telling them, they can't even comment back, they just listen to me. And he sort of like found himself get used to them. But one day he was in a church. He was sleeping there with all his sheep because he was traveling, so he had to rest at some place, and he found an abandoned church. It was kind of destroyed, and so all the shepherds, they just go there and spend a night over there with all of their sheep. And that church was full of sycamore and, the dust, and it was not in a good shape. And when he was sleeping over there, he had a dream which he already has seen before. It was kind of a recurring dream. So, but before the dream was completed, he was awake, and it happened twice with him, because when first time he saw the dream, he also was awake, and second time at the very same point in the dream, he was awake. And this dream was about a treasure. which was in the pyramids in Egypt, but he has never been to Egypt. He didn't knew about the pyramids, so he didn't really understand what the dream was about. Um, well, he wanted that dream to be interpreted, so he went to a woman who used to interpret the dream. He told her about his dream, and the woman interpreted that he's going to find his treasure in Egypt where the pyramids are, but he needs to go there. As he didn't have enough payment to pay her, the woman asked that when he will find this treasure, she wants the 1/10 part of that treasure. But he was like, he didn't believe her. He said like it's not going to be, like if any of us has a dream like that, we are not going to believe that it's true that we are going to find a treasure. But he just kind of ignored her and then, went along with his journey. And one day he was sitting on a bench somewhere and an old man came and sat by his side. Um, he started to initiate a conversation with the boy, but the boy was kind of irritated, like, please don't talk to me, kind of feeling. But he kept on, initiating conversation and started to comment about the book he was reading. And to his surprise, to the boy's surprise, the old man like had already read the book he was reading right now, and he was kind of like started commenting like it's going to end that way, and it says something like that. And to the boy's surprise, he thought that the old man couldn't even read, or maybe this would be very difficult to read because the book was in a kind of or a mixed language. So to the boy's surprise, he was really shocked to see that old man not just he's able to read, but he has already read the book he was reading now. And then to the most surprise, he told him something which was really like astonished him. He said he talked about his dream basically, and he said that he must, do something about it and, go for it and go find your treasure. And hearing all this, like at first he thought maybe he is some relative of that gypsy woman, the woman who interpreted the dreams, and maybe he is here to loot him. And maybe that woman has told him about all of his dreams and everything, and maybe this man is after him now to take his sheep and everything. And that man, like he also said that he will, give him the direction to pursue his dreams, and he know where the treasure is, but he will only tell him if the boy will give him 1/10 of his sheep. So after hearing this, the boy thought maybe the gypsy woman hadn't taken any amount from him, so maybe he has sent a man, maybe he is the husband of that woman. So he has came here to take this sheep away from him. So he thought maybe he is lying, but one very surprising thing happened. Old man took a stick and he wrote something on the sand where they were sitting. So he wrote his name, he wrote his father's name, his mother's name, his beloved's name, which the boy didn't knew. I have basically skipped that part, but he was in love with the woman. But it was kind of love at first sight of thing, and they just only met once, and he is going to meet her this year as well. We'll come to that later, but one of the names he has written was his beloved's name, and at that point, up until now, he didn't really knew her name. So this, after reading this, he thought this is not something like he was thinking like he's not the one from that woman's relatives. He is different, like. And that person told him, that old man told him that he was the king of Salem, and he know where the treasure is, and he knows a lot of things. He know about his dreams. He know about a lot of things which the boy didn't even mention to anybody. So the boy believed him. So he agreed on giving him 1/10 of his sheep if he tells him about how to, pursue his dream. And the old man gave him two stones, which were Urim and Thummim, and he said that this whole world is about a language, a soul of world, and a world has a language. And this world tries to tell us things in the form of signs and omens, and one should listen to them. And if he really needs something, some assurance from the universe or anything, he should take out those stones and he should ask for help from them, and they will help him. So, and then he vanished. He just took his part of the sheep and then he just vanished. And so the boy started his journey to get to the Egypt. In order to get there, he has to go through Africa, and he had the money. He sold his sheep, and he just started his journey to go to Egypt. And when he get to Africa, he went into a bar, and there he found a man who pretended to help him, but he was like a thief in disguise. So he looted all of his amount and the savings he had to get to Egypt. And he was right in the middle of the street in the market in Africa where he had no money, and the thief was gone. And for that moment, the boy thought, what has he done? Like he doesn't have a sheep anymore, and he was so stupid to go for a stupid dream, and which he is not even sure that he's going to, like, found that treasure. And he's just being stupid about it, and he has just lost one of his greatest treasure, his sheep, which were already giving him so much, find him food or anything. But now he has nothing, and he is in a strange country, and he doesn't know anybody there. He doesn't know their language. They spoke a different language there, and he didn't even understand a word. So he thought, what is he going to do now? Well, when he searched his bag, he found those two stones, and when he tried to ask, as a help, try to get a help from them, he thought in his heart, what is he supposed to do? Like, is he going to find his treasure? But he didn't really get any help from them, which in pursuit shows that we don't always get signs. Sometimes we have to make our own choices and make our own decisions which will determine our destiny. So he was right there in the middle of nowhere, no money, nothing, no relative. He just had to make a decision. So he thought about that old man talking to him, and he was talking about a crystal merchant. So he thought maybe he should go there with him. Like, the old man told him that this man has also a dream, but he's not doing anything about him. He wanted to go to Mecca to perform the pilgrimage, but he has stopped pursuing his dream. So for him, that crystal merchant is someone in his head he knew. So he went to his shop in the morning, and he asked him to employ him in his shop and give him money, and so he could, just move on and get back to his sheep and buy enough sheep and everything like that. So the crystal merchant, at first he was not really sure if he should employ that strange boy to his shop, but when he was there working with him, um, like, he started dusting everything when he was there. So The old man noticed that when the boy was working there, um, there a lot of customers came into the shop. So the shopkeeper thought maybe he's lucky for me, so he agreed on employing him. So when he employed him there, they all sort of like with the boy came with a lot of plans, and with time he almost stood there for like 11 months. He needed the amount of money which he could only get he just worked there over a year or something like that. So he worked there until he had enough of money to travel back and buy his sheep. When he was working there, his business really flourished, and the old man was really got used to of the boy, and the boy got used to of the crystal merchant. So he kind of like liked him, like having him over there. When he had enough of the money, he just you know he decided to go back. And when he was going back, he thought maybe I should go for my treasure. Like, I have the money, and if I really can have the treasure over there, he can still go back and have his sheep. But if not, then it's okay. Matlab, he's not going to like regret it. Like, he didn't pursue his dream. And he didn't want to be like the crystal merchant who has a dream and who is old now and is not even in a place to go for it, to go pursue his dream. He didn't want to regret anything. So he decided to go to Egypt. There was a caravan who was going from Africa to Egypt, to Al Fayoum, that place where the pyramids are, I think. So he went there along with the caravan, and he met an Englishman over there, the camel rider. They also played a very significant role with him. The Englishman was in search of an alchemist. This whole book is basically, which is the name of the book, The Alchemist. So that person, he was the most important person in the story, and he know this process of alchemy, and he has this philosopher's stone, and he had the elixir of life, and he used to be known as a someone, kind of a person who cures the illness and who treats the patient. And the Englishman was in search of that alchemist. The boy was in search of his treasure. He really didn't want to, find an alchemist. He didn't even knew who the alchemist is. So they reached at the Oasis, and when they reached over there, the shepherd, Santiago, he met a girl over there whose name is Fatima, and they both fell in love with each other. And Santiago forgot about the woman he thought he was in love with, but he wasn't. It was just kind of infatuation, because he just met her for once, and he thought it's love, which happens to most of people. But this whole thing somehow is just connecting us with other things which are ahead of us, which we will only understand at some certain point in our life, not at that particular moment, but yes, later in our life. So they both fell in love, and he's a woman of the desert, and she knew uh, that the desert men are supposed to go out and find the treasures and find their things and do their things, and then the desert women wait for them and all, which really, kind of, when he fell in love with her, he just didn't stop, he just stopped about pursuing his dream. But Fatima really pushed him that if you're meant to be, you will come back after finding your treasure, and you're not going anywhere, and I will be waiting for you right here. But you should be like, pursuing your dream and go for the treasure, and I will wait for you. At that point, the boy was so used to of reading all the universal signs, and he always was looking for something to give him some omens, and to understand what they're really trying to tell him. And he was really like, perceiving all of these omens. So one day when he was there at Osis, he saw two hawks fighting, and there was also already a news of warfare which was about to happen in the desert. Uh, and when he saw those hawks fighting, the boy had a vision, and he had a vision of an army of like people intruding at the Oasis and starting a war. He decided to tell this about this vision to the chieftain, which is a master of a captain sort of person, a leader at some place. So he, told him about his vision, and the desert people, they really believe in omens. They know the desert, and they know that the desert will give them signs and different sort of forms. So they wanted to believe the boy, and when he told them about his vision, after some time, a man on the horse came there. He was covered all in black, and only his eyes were, um, visible from his whole body. We could only see his, you know, death staring eyes, and he was the alchemist, which was the Englishman searching for. He took the boy and he asked the boy to go with him. So they all traveled. He already knew that the boy has a dream and he kind of wanted to pursue it, but now he was in love, so he was like being a little resistant about it. So he also pushed him. So you see, everyone is kind of like helping him out to pursue his dream. At this point, the last straw was basically the alchemist. He knew a lot of things, like that old man, that king which he met before. So he also pushed him to pursue his dream and go for it. He just said that he knew what his dream was, but he's not going to tell him how to do it, but he is going to just give him the direction until he is there. So they both traveled along. They talked about the things, they talked about the omens and everything. And then they reached in desert at some point near the pyramids, where they found a lot of people. They were men who were, the war men. They were waiting for the war. And when they met like hundreds of people over there in the desert, they were kind of sort of troops over there, waiting to start a war. And they thought they were some kind of intruders, the boy and the alchemist, and they tried to attack them. They thought that they might kill them. But then alchemist says that if you're going to kill us, okay, kill us, but give us time. That this boy he's very intelligent, and he's going to he knows how to turn himself into a wind, and he will do that if you give him time. Really surprising for the boy, because the boy didn't really knew how to do it, but alchemist did knew how to, turn himself into a wind. So when the conversation was over, the leader said, I am going to kill you anyway, so why would I give you time? So he said, just give us time to prove ourselves that we are not lying about it, and we are just travelers, and we are not intruders. So let us prove ourselves. Santiago, the boy, he was really surprised at the alchemist's remarks about the boy, that he is going to turn himself into a wind. He said to him that, why would you say that? I don't even know how to turn myself into a wind, and I cannot even do that. They are going to kill us anyway, so why would you even lie about it? So he said that he knows how to do it, he just don't know it yet, so he should better do something about it if he wants to stay alive. So what the boy did, he went to sat alone, like in solitude, in the desert, on some dunes of deserts. Like there are a lot of dunes in the desert, so he just sat there, and he kind of in his head started a conversation with the desert, or maybe he really started a conversation with the desert, and the desert started to communicate with him. And he asked the boy what does he want, and the boy told him that he wanted to turn himself into a wind, so he could spare his life from these all these troops of army. And the desert told him that why would why would I help you in some, in that act. And the boy said that he is in love with a girl and he really wanted to go back to her, and he was here just to fulfill his dream and find his treasure, but he just cannot have that treasure if he is dead anyway. So the desert said that, okay, I can help you out, but I cannot do that alone. You have to ask the wind about it, because wind is going to help us do, perform that task. And then the wind started to blow, and she kind of, was hearing all the conversation between the boy and the desert. And the wind said to him that um, she cannot help him, in that perspective. He wanted to, like, want to have that answers, and he want to turn himself into a wind. The wind said that maybe the sun would help, in that way, because sun is for them. He is more intelligent than them. The boy said, okay, then take me to the sun, and blew that hard so I could, reach the sun. So the wind in the desert, they both started to blow, and they reach at a certain point, so that they started to blow so fast, because the sun shines very, bright, and they didn't want the boy to be blinded by the sun's light, so they kind of covered it with the wind and the mud, so the boy could communicate with the sun. When he started conversation with the sun told him that he also don't know the answers of certain things. Maybe he should ask the hand of the God who has created this universe, who designed everything. And that moment was very shocking for the wind and the desert, that they thought the sun is very intelligent. Even he doesn't know the answers to a lot of things. So that was the point when you really understand that, okay, universe is playing a lot of part in everything, but even this universe has limited knowledge, because God knows everything. Only Allah has all the knowledge of everything. And even if this book was symbolic and was kind of like, mm, impersonating in a lot of weird things, like desert is communicating and wind is communicating and sun is talking, but it came to a very realistic point where it connected the reality that only God knows certain things and only He can answer certain things. And at that point, he realizes that yes, only that Almighty has the powers for certain things happening in our life. So while the boy was communicating with the universe, the army troops, they were watching all of those things, and it was such a heavy wind blowing that there was dust everywhere and they couldn't see anything. So when the wind stopped blowing, they kind of spared the alchemist, and they, spared the boy as well, to let them go. And when they left, the alchemist said that, okay, this is it. My journey with you is like over. Now you know a lot of things. Now you know yourself. You know how to do and what to do. And so he kind of gave him the pieces of gold. So in order to help him, the boy said that he is already going to find his treasure, so he didn't really need that gold right now. But the alchemist said that he has lost his treasures before, and maybe it can happen twice as well. One very important dialogue he said, the quotation which we will find in this book, is that if it happens to you once, it might not happen to you again, but if it happens twice, it will definitely happen to you again. And the boy lost his treasures twice before, so he thought maybe you're going to lose it this time as well. Anyways, he reached the pyramids, and he was standing over there but before that, the alchemist said, after the boy asked him that where will he find his treasure, and the alchemist said, you will find your treasures where you'll, find yourself in tears. So when the boy reached there, he kind of like, started crying. And you know something, it happens to you like uh, you have been waiting a lot of time, all of your life, to have this one thing in your life, and then when that thing is right there in front of you and you're just in tears and you're just emotional that this is what I have been working for, and this is, I have bear all these hardships in my life, and there you are, my dream. So he was kind of in tears, and he remembered what the alchemist said, that you will find your treasure where you will find yourself in tears. So he started looking for the treasure where his tears fell. He started digging. He dug almost all his night, but he couldn't find anything. And when the sun was like started to rise, a few people came over there. A few men came, and they thought maybe he is hiding a treasure or something like that. So he asked him that what he was doing there. He said he was doing nothing. So they started to beat him. They beat him so hard that and took all of his gold which he had in his bag with the which the alchemist gave him. So they said maybe he is trying to hide some more treasure, or maybe he has some treasure where he was digging. So they dig and dig and dig, and nothing. They found nothing. So they spared the boy that maybe he's crazy. So they left him, and one of the men who beat the boy told him that he is so stupid, because the boy told him that he was there to pursue his dream, and he had a dream that he will find his treasure here. And that man told him that he also had a dream, a recurring dream, that he saw that he will find his treasure in an abandoned church where the shepherds are shepherds along with their sheep. They used to visit the at this church in Spain, and the treasure will be right there, in underneath the sycamore in the church. And that moment was like, literally, that was it. Like, for me it was like, oh my god, it really happens to you in real life. Like, the things or the people who are meant to be in your life, they're like sometimes right in front of you and you just don't see it. Like, you need a particular life event to tell you that. And for that shepherd, it's kind of happened at that moment, that yes, he really found his treasure by that man telling him about his dream. And the treasure was right there from where he started, and but he just had to go through all of these sufferings and all of these life learning lessons, and about the theories of universe and soul of the world and language of the world and everything about the universe and God. So he was definitely a different person from here. And when he went back, he found a treasure over there. When he searched underneath the sycamore, there was right, he found the treasure box, and there was his treasure. And that book is literally amazing. I might not be explaining it in a very, perfect way, but you will understand when you will read it yourself, because I cannot find enough words, or the perfect amount of words to explain the kind of feelings it gives you, the kind of inspiration and motivation you get from this book. And especially the quotations in this book are so helpful when you will read it. When I was reading it, I almost find myself that this is written for me. This was written for me to know. Someone was waiting to tell me this. And yes, I wanted to hear this. I wanted to read this to do something about certain things, and maybe you will find maybe you will feel that way as well. So I'm sure you like this review, and don't forget to subscribe and comment about the video and help me do it more if you like it. Thank you so much.